Hello and welcome to the newsroom on TV 360 Nigeria. This year's Global Terrorism Index showed a continuing trend of a decline in terrorism, with deaths from terrorism falling for the third consecutive year after peaking in 2014. The total number of deaths fell by 27% between 2016 and 2017, with the largest falls occurring in Iraq and Syria. In Nigeria, total deaths fell to 1,532 in 2017, which is a drop of 16% from the previous year. The Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, has asked the Senate to stay off the appointment of police chiefs in the country. Idris demanded that the lawmakers expunge provisions of a new bill that requires Senate confirmation of an IGP's appointment. The police chief made the submission during a public hearing by the Senate Committee on Police Affairs on the Police Reform Bill. The Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, will meet with the leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. The meeting, scheduled for December 10, is to find a lasting solution to issues leading to the ongoing strike embarked upon by the union. The union embarked on the strike on November 4 over the poor funding of Nigerian universities and non-implementation of previous agreements by the government. The Burundi government has reportedly ordered the United Nations Human Rights Council to shut its office in the country within 2 months. Burundi boycotted an East African Community Summit in November, which was meant to focus on Burundi's ongoing political crisis. And in 2017, the country left the International Criminal Court after it launched an investigation into the alleged atrocities in the country. And a court in France has agreed to the extradition of Francois Compaoré, brother of Burkina Faso's ousted leader Blaise Compaoré. Well, Francois-led Burkina Faso fled Burkina Faso in 2014 after his brother resigned amid popular street protests following 27 years in power. He was arrested in France in October last year in connection with the murder of investigative journalist Norbert Zongo in 1998. The U.S. military says it has killed 4 militants in an airstrike against al-Shabaab militants in Somalia as part of its operations to support the government's efforts to weaken the group. The military's Africa Command, AFRICOM, said the strike was carried out on December 4. The U.S. carries out periodic airstrike in Somalia in support of a UN-backed government there, which has been fighting against an al-Shabaab insurgency for years. A big search and rescue operation is continuing in Japan for 5 missing U.S. Marines after 2 aircraft with 7 crew collided and crashed into the sea. The U.S. planes had taken off from Marine Corps Air Station in Ukani and were conducting regularly scheduled training when the mishap occurred. 2 Marines have been rescued, with one of them in stable condition. River Plate are now in Madrid for the Copa Libertadores final second leg against arch rival Boca Juniors. Spanish police are calling the security operation for Sunday's match, which has been switched from Rivers Ground to Real Madrid's home, 10,000 kilometers across the Atlantic Ocean, the biggest ever for a game in Madrid. The game was originally scheduled to take place on November 24, but was called off after several Boca players sustained injuries when rocks were thrown at their team bus as it arrived at the Monumental Stadium. Now, Mauro Icardi is relishing the chance to measure himself against Cristiano Ronaldo for the first time as Inter Milan travel to Turin on Friday, looking to inflict the first defeat of the season on the Italian champions. Juventus have set a frenetic pace this season, signing Ronaldo, making a record start with 40 points after the first 14 games in Serie A. Napoli are second, 8 points behind Juventus, with Inter Milan 11 points adrift of the champions in third. And that's the latest from our newsroom. Thank you so much for watching. I am Fidelia Aguncha. Bye for now.